Okay, so today I thought I would introduce you guys to my favorite place, probably my favorite place in the world. This is a oxbow pond off the Old Man River that I call Sspopiikimi, or turtle waters, because there's lots of painted turtles in here. And this is the site of what has been to me a long-term study of phenology, which is the seasonal behaviors of plants and animals all through the year. I carry on a kind of a traditional Blackfoot phenological study, and I keep field notes in a blog that's located at akayokaki.blogspot.com. But anyway, I've been out here for about 6 years training to try to learn every species out here, to try to learn their ecology, the interrelationships between each other, their behaviors throughout the different seasons, trying to learn all the kind of local, naturally occurring foods out here and to utilize them, and to try to come to understand the places out here from the point of view of the animals and plants that reside here. So this is, my wife and I have been doing this study, and you know, if there's Orion's Kung Fu, one of the things that it involves would be getting to know your local ecology, because I don't think a person is well-rounded when they live in a human-centric world and everything in their head, everything that they think about just has to do with people, and they're not aware of all these other aspects of their environment. So for me, this is a really important place today. We're partway into the moon, called Okonoki o Sspopiikimi, which means the Saskatoon berries are ripening. And so today I'm going to be here to gather Saskatoon berries, to gather another kind of berry called the golden currant. We also have red currants and black currants that I'll probably gather today, and maybe some different teas. There's mints out here, there's a plant called manikapi, or wild bergamot, out here that's a medicinal tea. There's also stinging nettle out here, which makes a really good tea if you've never had stinging nettle tea. I'm carrying about a 60-pound camera pack on my back. I normally carry this as I walk around out here because I love to photograph the animals and plants when they're doing their different things throughout the season, and I use those photographs in lectures at the college where I teach. I'm also wearing heavy ankle weights. These are, well, not heavy, but about 5 pounds on each leg. So essentially, I'm walking around with an extra 70 pounds. And so I'm going to take a walk around and gather some of these plants, and we'll see what else we run into. I'm always looking for training opportunities, more spontaneous, but then I can make them part of a routine out here. And it's so hot today, I'll probably end up in the river swimming at some point. Okay, so I saw lots of golden currants down by the pond, and I'm definitely going to pick some, but I thought first I'd come up this way, up onto the coulee slope, and see if I can find some Saskatoons. I know there's a patch over here around this ridge, but they may be already burned out so high up in this dry. This is an example how dry things are. This here is that plant moss, or prairie turnip, that I showed on another video a couple of weeks back, closer to my house, which is a few miles away. And by my house, this plant was green. Right here is just absolutely dry and seeded out. So I'm gonna dig this one up. It's not a huge one, so I don't know how big the root will be, but check it out just as an example. This would be, yeah, the ground is probably very hard and dry too, so it's always a chore to try to dig these out, but I've got my little crowbar with me today. Okay, so this one wasn't too big. Might try to find one that's a little bit larger. This is a small root. You can get them up to good potato size, but like I was saying, I didn't think this one would be too big. But you know, this is the strategy that the plant uses. Once it's played out its flowers, it very quickly turns into a dry stalk. This stalk, as soon as it gets a little wind here, this stalk breaks off and becomes a tumbleweed, and you'll never find the root. At the same time, this is the best time of year to gather these, because all the energy of the plant has gone down into the root. And so if you're going to gather them at all, you want to get them right at that turn between the seeding out and when it gets to be a tumbleweed, like now. But I'll show you this. Anyway, it's got a little skin on it, and all you do is you take off that skin. It's kind of like peeling a turnip, but like I said before, it doesn't taste like a turnip. It has more of a starch taste to it. Not quite like a potato, but like an already cooked potato maybe, but not like a raw potato. Yeah, so you peel off that skin, you have a white starchy root, and what you can do with this is, what I do with it is I take it and I chop it up into little like coins. Okay, like I chop the root widthwise into little coins, and I dry those out, and then when you want to rehydrate them, you throw them in some water, and they rehydrate pretty good. You can use them for cooking, just like cooking potatoes or what have you. You can take it like this if you want, and you can put it, grind it down like through a grater, and make kind of like a powdered version of the root that you can use in soups to thicken it up. If you want to make a puree kind of a soup, or you can just cook it as is and eat it like a potato, and you don't even have to cook it. That's the nice thing about this root, you can just eat it raw. And it's rather soft and just good starch energy. Okay, these are the Okanoki or Saskatoon bushes, and looking at them I can see that there's really no berries left. The birds have beat me to it, and that's fine. That's what I deserve. The Okanoki are kind of like blueberries, and really they're probably the best tasting berry out here. and they're easy to store. You can dry them, sun dry them, and they rehydrate real easy. And I know there's still going to be lots down in the forest, the other side of the river, that I'm not going to be at today. But hopefully my wife and I can get down there and get some of them before they're out of season. But this is the good lesson, hey? That you know, you just have brief opportunities with all of these real foods, that when they're ready, you know, you've got to pick them, gather them, hunt them, what have you, fish them. But if you miss the window, the seasonal window for them, and it's not defined, the seasonal window is not defined by the state's laws or anything like that. The seasonal window is when these berries ripen. That's when it's time to pick them, and you got to know that they're ripe. You got to be watching all the time and know that they've just turned ripe. It's time to pick. And if you miss that window, you're just going to miss out on the berries. And the same thing like with the roots I just showed you, moss. If you miss out on that window when you're supposed to pick it, then you don't get any moss. And I think it's a real important lesson. You know, you can know all kinds of, you can be the best martial artist in the world, but what happens if you get, you know, if you have to survive off the land and you don't know anything about it? You can be as strong as you want to be, but you're not going to survive. So I like learning this stuff, and I like it for the nutrition as well, because this is nature's food. Right next to the okonoki, though, we can see here are the other berry I was looking for, the golden currant. There's not quite as many up here on the coulee slope as there is down at the pond, and to make gathering easier, I'm going to go for those ones down at the pond. But in any case, at least I checked up here and I saw the situation. We're going to have to get our okonoki berries really quick in the forest where it's shady and there's more of them. Yeah, so I picked another couple of moths anyway on the way back down. I'm almost over to the pond now, and I'm gonna stop there and pick quite a few golden currants. Again, these moths aren't examples of the largest roots you can get, but they're still pretty decent, and this would have been one of the dietary staples of indigenous plains, and it's a really good plant to know. In any case, if you want to have a natural foods diet and you live anywhere on the plains. This is the one bush I'm going to really work off of, and we'll see if I get any further than that. That's a lot of berries on that bush though, so we'll find out. But I noticed down here there's a certain butterfly. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't know if it'll let us get close enough before it flies off, but it's called the viceroy, and it's a real interesting butterfly. It mimics the monarch in its appearance, and it does this because a monarch eats off of milkweed. The monarch larvae feed off milkweed, and so monarchs, milkweed is generally pretty poisonous to most animals. So the monarchs taste bad, and by mimicking the appearance of the monarch, the viceroys keep themselves from being eaten by birds. Here he is down here. See him spreading his wings there? Like I said, I don't know how close he'll let us before he takes off. So, you know, in terms of self-defense rules or strategies, this guy has a pretty good strategy. The birds, even though he's brightly colored, the birds don't really mess with him because he looks too much like a monarch butterfly, and they don't want to have that bad taste in their mouth. Okay, so I'll just leave him alone. Yeah, so had about enough standing out in the direct sunlight with the heat of the afternoon. There's no clouds at all, so it's really warm, and I can get as many berries as I'd like to get, but there's still some time to harvest, and we gotta hit it in the evenings and the mornings when it's cooler and easier to work in. But anyway, feeling a little bit drained, so I've moved across the pond into the forest, into the shade here, so I can kind of recoup my energy and cool down a bit. And then I still want to go out on the wet meadows here and find some mint, and then maybe take a refreshing dip in the river. So yeah, just gonna enjoy the forest for a few minutes here. My main purpose for spending time out here is to learn the ecology of this place, to learn all the plants, to learn all the animals, to learn their seasonal lives and how they're interrelated, and to learn about nutrition, the natural abundance, and how to survive off of that. I mean, there's some part of my diet every day that includes something that I've harvested or dug, trapped or fished or hunted. Well, this morning, for instance, my breakfast was wild goose egg, which I collected a whole bunch of them earlier on in the season. And again, you had to really know that window when they're just caching their eggs and they're not incubating them yet, in order to get the good eggs. And I got a couple of hundred of eggs, and when they're being cached like that, they have kind of a oily layer outside of the egg that keeps oxygen from getting in, and as long as you get them during that time, you can keep those eggs for like 9 months and they're still good. So I'm still eating goose eggs that I collected like 4 months ago. But there's lots out here, and I think it's important to know this stuff. Like this plant right here, this is wild licorice, and it's got real sugary root, and it's good to eat the root, you know, raw. The old time buffalo runners, the young men who would run after, they would chase the bison, they used to chew on this root for energy during their run. And but in any case, you can cook it as well, you can eat it. It's good to know that. There's another plant, right down here. You probably can't see it. Here's some of it here. Probably can't see it on the video. Here's a little bit of it. That plant, you can use the root. You can dry it and grind it up and use it as a blood coagulator to stop bleeding wounds. And it's got a natural antiseptic in it. It's starflower Solomon seal is what the plant is. I know all these plants out here, and I know how to use them for food or medicine. I think part of if you know how to if you're gonna know how to be able to fight and defend yourself, I think it's also important to know how to heal. And so you should learn at least really thorough first aid and impromptu first aid off of what's naturally in your environment. You should be able to take care of wounds and take care of minor fractures and things like this without having to have a doctor. I'm mainly am trying to be a more complete human being, and I don't think that somebody is necessarily a full human being if they can't even just get along in their environment. If they don't know how to get along in their environment, how is that being a full human being? You look at any other animal in the world, and it knows how to get along in its environment. In fact, you throw it into a pretty unfamiliar environment, and it'll figure out how to get along. And it's only humans that have this weird infrastructure that we've built where we're really dependent on a global trade network. And I don't think it's safe. Take for instance what happens if a huge disaster befalls an area where there's a large urban population. What you end up with is chaos. You look at what happened in New Orleans, and this is a real famous North American city in the United States, and you end up with total chaos over a hurricane and a flood, and where people are dying and people are killing each other, and cops are turning against the citizens, this kind of thing. If we run into those kind of large-scale disasters, and there's enough people affected, you can believe it's going to get chaotic. And then you have to know how to defend yourself, but you also you gotta know how to get by, or you'll just sit on top of your house or whatever and die, like a lot of people did. I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm myself that I'm preparing for the apocalypse or anything like that. I mean, really, like I said, my big thing for being out here is to be more of a full human being, and by that I mean being aware of my regional ecology, and to the extent that I can, being aware of how to survive out here, how to live out here. Not just not just surviving on the basics, but being able to live fairly comfortably if need be. And I think, you know, this is the kind of knowledge that's necessary anyway. I think if we're going to get ourselves out of the environmental wreck that we're in, the best way to do that is for people to be educated on their natural ecology, their regional, local ecology. Because if you know all of the animals and plants in your place and how they're interrelated, you're going to raise more of a fuss when you see developers and you know, industries going in and wrecking vital habitat, these kind of things. So, you know, there's a lot of good reasons to pursue this kind of knowledge, and I just enjoy it myself. I'm out here in all seasons, and there's always something different going on. And I like to know that rhythm, and to what extent I can to be a part of it. Alright, so here's some of that mint I was hoping to find out here on the wet meadows, and it's just a really good natural peppermint, good for making teas with. It's already mostly seeded out, so it's a good time to pick it. There's some good patches all throughout this wet meadows. There's lots of this mint, and you can use it for other things too, like we use it when we dry meat. We'll put some of that mint in the dry meat to flavor it. And there's a couple of red-winged blackbirds out here that are pretty upset with me. They probably have got a nest going on out here. I'm gonna kind of walk out and see if they... Yeah, he's getting upset. So they must have a nest. Yeah, it's right here though, it starts getting really wet where these cattails begin. Start getting really wet, and there's no doubt his nest is in these cattails. That's what they like to do, is make kind of a basket nest over the water if they can. And these cattails, sometimes they get pushed out by the yellow-headed blackbirds who are a little bit bigger. But this year here on the wet meadows, there's lots of space. Might as well, while I'm here and there's cattails here, show you something else that's worth knowing. Cattails, pretty much year-round, are useful plants, and the entire plant is edible, and it's just a real useful plant. This time of year, the thing that you want to get if you're going to mess with the cattails is, hold on a minute, there's two hands to pull this sucker out. Alright, so you take a stalk, good cattail stalk, and these leaves, actually you can use those for lots of things. On the west coast, they used to use these leaves, make kind of rain jackets out of. They're pretty much waterproof. They got little air pockets in them, and but you can also make mats and baskets and those kind of things. You don't have to let any of this plant go to waste. But anyway, what I wanted to show you was the eaty part. So you have to peel it. Just start peeling those leaves down, and what you want to do is you want to get to the inner core of this cattail. There's a nice soft. We're pretty much there. That part
can leave. And here we have the inner core of the cattail right here, so you can see where it's a little bit rubbery right now, but yeah, this is a good edible part here. So it's almost like eating celery. Tastes good too. That's cattail. I was hoping to pick some of those cattail stalks this year and try pickling them with some of the dill I grew in my garden. See how that turned out. Because they are pretty water-based, like celery or like cucumbers. Might do pretty well with pickling. Anyhow, I'm gonna pick some mint.